What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Kinesio Outdoors video. Today's video I will be going over some male-based stuff from Lancaster Archery. I got the Phoenix Jig from OMP. So I'm gonna open up with my arrow. I would use a pocket knife, but with my daughter, knives are not something we try to keep out and around. So all my knives are in storage. So what I'm gonna go over this video is some of the features of this fletching jig, of the OMP Phoenix Fletching Jig. I'm going to go over the features, what I like, what I dislike, and then I'll go over setting it up for my arrows. So right here we've got the fletching jig, and already off the bat I'm noticing it's pretty heavy, which I like because that means to me it's going to be pretty stable. So first things first, has a nice big base. This base is going to be about 9 to 10 inches in diameter, so it'll be a really solid base to build the fletching jig on. And then it came with a bag of hardware. Also has, this is the attachment for lining up your degree offset. And then we have the seat for the arrows. So this is what the arrow is going to sit into. It's going to sit in just like this. And then right now it's freely spinning because I haven't tightened the 3 knobs on top. I'll show you that in just a bit here. It also comes with the holder for the clamp. And then last thing here is going to be the clamp, which I've heard a lot of good things about the magnet on this clamp. So we'll just test it out really quick. See how strong it is. Pretty strong. It's not coming off. So initial impressions are, seems pretty solid, pretty well built. I'll get it assembled and we'll see how easy it is for me to set it up to fletch my arrows. All right, so now that we got everything unboxed here, I apologize for the camera angle, doing the best I can here. Just laid everything out nice and neat. And I'm gonna show you, it looks like it's pretty easy to put together. I'm not gonna read the instructions. I don't even know if it came with any. Just to see if it is as easy to put together as it seems. So we have a nice big knob here, and we've got kind of a big indent there, so I'm gonna assume, yep, those fit together nice and easy. And on the base of this there's one bolt with a big nut, and that just fits right in there like such. So that's pretty nice, because then once I poke that through, this has, yep, perfect alignment. And a couple things that I'm noticing, everything on here is actually, seems like machined aluminum, which is nice because that means that this magnet is only going to stick to the steel on this piece here. So that's something that's kind of cool. All right, so moving on, I've got the base that's going to hold the arrow, and there are 4 bolts on the bottom, and then there's going to be 4 bolts here. So it looks like I have 2 bolts that are pretty long compared to the other bolts, and then it looks like I have 8 shorter bolts. So I'm gonna guess those 2 bolts are going to go to this piece here. And I'm gonna put the 2 washers with those bolts. Again, I'm just assuming this is how you put it together. I actually don't know yet. One thing that I'm noticing is nice is there are these 4 kind of etched out pieces here. And it seems like that's where you can kind of hold things. So that's kind of cool. Just putting the bolts back here. And based on my guess on the way to put this together, it looks like these pieces are going to go something like this with this piece out here. So I'm just going to start at the back and then work my way forward. So I'm just going to do all this in real time. We'll kind of see how easy it is to set this up. I'm just going to finger tighten for now. I don't know what size these Allen head bolts are, but as long as you have your set of Allen keys, I'm going to assume, since this is an archery product, if you just have the standard set of Allen keys that everybody seems to have, then you should have the correct Allen head. So hand tight, that's working pretty good. Nice and easy, sweet. So far, feels pretty easy to put together. Now I'm gonna move on to the front here, so I'll just do this piece next. And again, I'll just do all this in real time. So seeing that this is pretty easy to put together, I am gonna comment that from what I can guess, I'm gonna guess that shipping is paid for mostly by volume and a little bit less by weight, which is why they went ahead and disassembled this and then sent it out for you to assemble. So it's a way for them to reduce shipping costs for the consumer, which is pretty nice because I personally don't like paying shipping. So third bolt's going in, no problem. And fourth bolt is going on, again, no problem, nice and easy. So now that that's all assembled, now I'm gonna pop this piece on. Now this part is gonna be kind of intuitive. It's got some kind of numbers etched in the orange right there. I'm just going to assume that this white etched in there is for you to keep track of everything. And there's this kind of channel for this bolt to go through. So for now, I'm gonna try to line it right on 0. This is gonna be great for aligning to different diameter of arrow shafts. So that way you can get your fletching perfectly on the center. And this is where I had issues with the Bitzenberger. The adjustment was more adjustable. There was greater variation that you could do. However, I had a really hard time getting really good arrow contact with my, I think I had the Victory VFs or something like that, target arrow. So just like that, I've got it assembled, and I can go through adjusting it pretty easily. I can loosen this to slide in and out. And then once again, clamp's gonna go on just like that. So now the last thing I need to do is get this piece here adjusted for the fletching configuration that I want to do. All right, sorry for the change in location here. My daughter is currently asleep, and that's just the way the world's working for me right now. So what I'm gonna do, since I'm gonna do a 3 fletch, sorry, I need to pull the Allen keys out of my pocket, is I'm going to grab my Allen key. It looks like it's gonna be this one. And I'm just gonna tighten the one that says 90 degrees. Oops, wrong size. So 90 is gonna be for that 3 fletch. The one above it says 120. The one below it says 75 by 105, or that X-wing. Now it's important, this says do not over tighten, which I definitely am going to not do. What this does is I'm assuming there's kind of little indentations on this orange cylinder, and I get that nice crisp click. So that's what I'm looking for there. Now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and place my arrow right in the jig. I'll kind of do this so it's easier for everybody to see here. All right, so I've got this vertical. Okay, so that's just gonna hold the arrow in place for me. That looks great. Now I need to take my clamp and make sure that everything aligns properly. And that is a strong magnet. So right now, the way it's set up on 0, my clamp is actually off the arrow. I'll try to show you here. Clamp and the arrow are not aligning. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to loosen up these screws on the back side that I tightened by hand. I'm just gonna move over till it looks pretty close. So right now the clamp is too low, so I'm just gonna seat it up a little bit. Pull it back. And I wanna get it right in the middle of that arrow shaft on the back side. So it's looking like that looks pretty close. Okay, I like where that's sitting right now. So right now it's at like 1 3/4. I'm not sure if that's a high number or not, but I'll show you in just a minute here what that looks like. So I'm just gonna tighten these down. Since I have the Allen keys, I'll tighten them down pretty snug. So what I have here is the clamp is, sorry, the camera's on that side, is gonna be right on the middle of that arrow there. So now that I've got that set, I am going to go ahead and use the fletching jig. So I like the Super Sabers. Those are the fletchings that I use. Recently a study was published by James Yates in tandem with, I think his name's Tristan from Precision Cut Archery, and they found, just briefly, I glanced at it, that this Super Saber is one of the better vanes overall for steering, flight, and I believe noise. I didn't read it too closely, but I think the overall top vane choice was the Super Saber. So what I'm doing here is I'm just getting a little bit of glue, and this is where I get to really test this fletching jig. So magnet first, making sure it's out of the way of it, and then I'm just going to seat it down. And then we'll just let that sit for 10 seconds. One thing that I like with the Bitzenberger, I didn't like, is I really felt that I had to push the clamp down and then push with my fingers up to really get a nice tight seal, so that way the fletching would stay on. Despite any prep work, that's just kind of what I had. Maybe it's because I got to use Bitzenberger, I don't know, but I didn't have the greatest luck with it. So that's been over 10 seconds. Light this up, and we're just going to go right down the line. So got that nice audible click. Do one more, and I'll go through this next two a little quicker for everybody, and then we'll see how it turned out. But so far, this is a very easy to set up fletching jig. I assembled it with no instructions. I was able to easily get it to align with my arrow. The clamp is strong, very, very strong. I'm able to get things nice and snug, which I really like. I really like when I'm able to snugly get the clamp on and make sure that things are working properly. I like this Maxi Cure glue. It dries fast and it's pretty strong, so that's what I use. If you have another glue that you recommend, feel free to drop a link below. And that's about 10 seconds. Open the clamp, lift the clamp up. One more, nice audible click. That click would be louder if I decided to seat that screw a little bit deeper. I don't really see the point to. I used to see that as a I know to stop here kind of deal. But if you really wanted that louder click, you could snug it down a little more. There is a sticker on there that says do not over tighten. So keep that in mind. You don't want to over tighten it, because then you're going to start kind of bending that alignment knob. So get this back. Yeah, that is a really strong magnet. I'm really a big fan of that. All right, last few seconds here, and we'll see how this looks. But so far, I'm pretty impressed with this fletching jig. Easy to use, easy to set up, easy to get alignment, and we'll see what it looks like. All right, easy, easy. After I finished recording, I remembered that I have this vane angle tool from DCA, who also makes these vanes. So I decided to just pop it on here and get my alignments all taken care of. Let's get that in focus. So I got the clamp lined up. I've got it set at 1 degree, and it looks like I'm a little over 1 degree there. So if I go to 2, we'll see if that changes things over to 2. Keep in mind, if you change one thing, you change everything in archery. So then I'll have to go and make a change back here, and then we'll see if we can get it to 2 degrees. So I went ahead and adjusted this over to 2, and I've got the starting spot where the edge of the vane is going to be right on there, and looks like I'm just over that 2 degrees. So I was able to get 2 degrees by easily adjusting this to the 2. Coincidentally, this back here also lines up with that number 2.